All right. We got Sean Robert Johnson on the phone. Final episode of the Tell All. Say hi, Sean.
How are you doing, everybody?
All right. Final questions. On this last night before release, what specific moments or images from your first day in prison are replaying in your mind now, and how do you feel different about them?
Well, just the images of just walking into prison and it's the unknown of not really knowing anything of how it's going to go. And I can remember when they pulled up to the prison and going in through the garage and going to medical and then going to a unit that I had to be housed for to quarantine and just seeing how the atmosphere was and how the SEALs were standing there with the batons and everything in their hands, and I was just like, oh man, this is like a crazy atmosphere from like all the years that I didn't heard it, and then now 19 years later, I've known a good amount of these COs and even the ones I don't know just because of positivity that I've just spread throughout my journey here. A lot of them know who I am, and I will be walking down the same walk that I took to come in. I will also see medical and go out the same garage that I first came in. So just thinking about that day of when everything first started, in the same way they brought me in is the same way that God is leading me out. So just the anticipation of just waiting for it to happen.
Yeah. Have you built any positive relationships with the COs?
Absolutely. Throughout the time, I definitely built a lot of positive relationships, rapport with a lot of CEOs, and they have seen my journey from, just from when I started here. Some of them that started around the same time, and even some that came afterward. Just, being able to look up the books or the podcasts or different things that I have done, but not even the stuff that I put out into society, but just holding conversations with me and every one of them will say like they can just tell the positivity that I have within me that I try to share, not just to people that's amongst me and me amongst them being in prison, but also to them as well. So it's like a lot of positive vibes, and every last CEO that I know, and even some that I don't know, like they are excited and happy for me to be entering back into society because all of them standpoint is like since they either see me or know me, I have been nothing but positive to them.
Okay. What was the hardest adjustment you had to make to survive in a maximum security environment?
I want to say the hardest adjustment to make from my perspective is it's like you can trust people, but also just coming from where I come from, I could just see if people trying to run games just to have an advantage or manipulate things so that you can look them out for whatever the case may be. So it was like one of the things to me because I try to always just be impartial, try not to judge people, even if I don't know them, and just be consistent in that manner. But it's like it's hard because people will do things or just show you things that make you not want to trust them. And it's like for me, I'm like we are in the same type of situation, regardless of what time we have. So I always try to be pro prisoners in the sense of trying to do everything I can to uplift them or look them out in a positive manner if somebody didn't have anything. But some people just take advantage of that. So that's like one thing I learned early on.
Yeah. Can you describe a moment in there when you had to immediately change, whether that was mentally, emotionally, or spiritually, and what triggered that shift?
Oh, when I was in Asset, 2013, 2014, and I was in Asset for the totality of a year, but it's like 4 months in, and I had like a charge, STG charge, was a security threat group charge for just writing somebody that I know that was in another prison, but they was hot, and I ended up getting an STG charge, which is gang affiliation charge.
Right.
So like in that moment, just sitting there one day in the cell, and as said, because you don't come out, the cell is probably like 6 by 8. The toilet is inside the wall, and I was just like, even though I'm not doing anything destructive to like always get in trouble, but I always felt that God blessed me with gifts and talents that I could do more. So I just sat there and just had an assessment of myself and said I really need to just change. And it just came from like one night just sitting there dwelling on that, and then from that moment on, I just been putting one foot forth and never looked back.
Yeah. Okay, next question. How have relationships, family, friends, romantic, or even enemies, shaped your time in prison? And which relationship impacted you the most?
Well, I would say no matter the relationship, it always impacts you because being in a situation psychologically, a lot of people check out in the sense of you got 50, 60
Hmm.
years. So people can check out and it could definitely hurt you psychologically and mentally and even emotionally because you can want to depend on people to be there in your corner but they're not. So like that can definitely impact you. And what I would say impacted me the most, I would say from the time that we met and everything we built, it impacted me the most and the better because regardless if we have days of disagreeing or something, because we never really had something like super over the top, but just the consistency, made things a lot easier and put a lot of things in perspective. Like, okay, this is one person that been consistent, so just one step at a time, and that made an impact to me.
Okay. What do you feel you lost that you know you'll never get back? And what, if anything, do you feel you gained that you never expected? Two-part question.
Well, I would definitely say time.
Right.
Time, I lost time. I lost 19 years, and time is one thing that I will definitely not ever get back. However, but what I gained is just a balanced perspective in a way that I always knew that I could do more with my life, but just being consistent and being disciplined and just tapping into the wisdom that I learned through the experiences and how it has shaped my perspective in a way and say, oh no, these goals I set for myself I could attain on no matter how far somebody else might think there is, just the ambition and drive to accomplish them is what's going to continue to have me go forward instead of just slacking no matter the setbacks or anything. So I would say those are the two things.
Okay. If you could talk to the version of yourself who first came into prison, what would you tell them about pain, responsibility, and hope?
Well, I would say that, okay, through this journey, you're definitely going to go through pain. And the pain is not always physical pain from just being incarcerated. The pain is going to be spiritually. The pain is going to be mentally. The pain is going to be emotionally because it's a lot of highs and lows. And it's not even just about family, friends, or romantic relationship because you can have high and lows with that. But it's also just the court system. You'll
Yeah.
have highs and lows with that. Whereas you have a clear cut issue and you get denied by the courts, even though you know that you shouldn't. So that kind of pain can definitely affect you mentally going through this journey. And in regards of hope, it's like I would just tell my younger self, no matter what you go through, don't lose hope, no matter how hard it may get, no matter how tough it may seem, just keep fighting because at the end of the day, you will make it through on the other side. It's not about the presentation when it's all done. It's about the process. It's about the climb of going through the trials and errors, the ups and downs, and eventually you will get to where you want to be. And just stay focused along the way, and trust God. And if you continue just to have those ingredients and things, sooner than later it's going to work out. Not when you want it to work out, but when God needed to work out for you.
Okay. What are you most afraid of, if anything, about walking out of prison that people might not realize you're dealing with?
I wouldn't say afraid of in the sense of like anything specific is like walking out of 19 years. After 19 years, like you're walking into the unknown.
Hmm.
So it's like you can be up to date with the world, but it's still a lot of things that's unknown because being in prison, we're only going to see a small fraction of what's actually going on in the world. So it's like just walking into the unknown that I have to prepare myself for, of how things are going to be. And yes, I done navigated situations being in prison, dealing with people, so knowing how different personalities could be. And if I'm able to manage that by being in a close proximity of people, then when I'm out there in the world when I really don't have to be around people, I will be able to navigate that. And also, I would say just on top of that, it just, going to prison, no matter what you go to prison for, you're always going to have some people that's always going to hold some type of animosity. So it's not the point of worry or fear, but to me, it just like it's been so long since everything happened, and I can't expect some people to change how they feel no matter how much I change. So the only thing I could do in that aspect when it comes to those type of things is that, hope that people can just find forgiveness in their heart and we just all continue to move forward so that we don't create a cycle that just continues on and other people get hurt or whatever the case may be.
Okay, last question, and we're at 12 minutes. So, when you think about your legacy, the story that will be told about you, what do you want people to understand about who you are now beyond your conviction and your 19 years in a maximum security prison?
Well, when it comes to the legacy, I want people just to just always remember that I'm a person that was super positive, super impactful. And yeah, I'm just super positive and impactful and just try to do my best to be fair when it comes to people. I try to pour into people the right words, the right things, and I try to uplift and encourage people the best way that I can. So throughout the rest of my life of the duration that I have to live in a free world, I just want to just spread more positivity.
All right. Thank you, Sean Robert Johnson. I'm going to leave you with the final
Thank
words.
you. The final word is
It's
no matter
over.
what you go through in life, no matter what you go through in life, don't give up. Just keep moving forward. And I'm just ready for the next chapter of life because this chapter of my life is over and now just on to the next one.
All right. That's it. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.